I have spoken in presentations where people said, I know you stole my money.
Wow.
This is, I mean, think about turning a presentation around when someone says that. I mean, you're trying to build credibility
My
there.
heart starts beating really fast.
I know, you're like,
how would you do that?
well, I know that wasn't our agency, but there are agencies out there where you give them, $500 in advance. I mean, it could be agencies that you have in your hand right now. You give them $500 in advance to take care of your finances. You go back a month later to set up the plan, and the company's not there. So there was a scam in the New Bedford area in Massachusetts that this happened to. So these scams are out there. So you really need to really be diligent about who you're going to do business with.
And how would people do that? How would they be diligent about it?
I would definitely look for a nonprofit organization. I would definitely look for an organization that has physical presence in your area. A lot of these things can be over the internet, in a shop, like a makeshift type location where they haven't been, there's no longevity there. So an organization that's been around for years, that's not going anywhere, where you can go in and see somebody. Maybe you can do the whole thing over the phone because that's convenient for you, but there is a physical presence of in your
so
area.
You feel like they're real. There's literally some foundation behind the organization.
Exactly.
Okay. Those are great tips.
And make sure that they're accredited. So I mean, do a little bit of background check. When in doubt, I mean, you can always come to our agency, but definitely shop around and make sure that it's an agency that's not going anywhere, and understand how they, the fees that would be assessed on your
Great point.
money. But I do want to say something about people deciding what to do when they have debt. Many times at CCCS, we find people that walk in the door and they are so in debt, they're actually carrying the weight of their world on their shoulders. They let it go so far that they can no longer make their minimum payments. Now, the example that we were talking about, Belinda, $3,000, I mean, that's like $40 to $60 a month minimum payment. Some people can let it go so far that they can no longer make those minimum payments. They're in the hundreds of dollars a month. And sometimes it's hard for a debt management plan to fix that, because the sooner you deal with your debt, the more options you have available to you. If you let it go far, I mean, you close your options, and you're looking at more like a bankruptcy situation to get out of that situation. So a debt management plan is an option that you really want to seek out as soon as possible. Now, a debt management plan is paying your debts back through a credit counseling agency. So let me just take you through an example. Let's say you have credit card debt with maybe a couple or a few different credit card companies, all at different rates. You and I'm sure you had clients that do this, you can call and negotiate with your lenders. And in this market, I don't know what you found, but credit card companies are holding back. They're not always that open to getting the rates down lower in this current environment.
I'd say my clients have probably found a mix. I think that there is a piece of they'd rather have you call and have a conversation with them about it and see what they can do. And a lot of my clients, partly because I tell them what to say and what not to say, that works.
Yeah.
So they have had some luck. Even in like 3 phone calls, one family saved over $30,000 on debt under $18,000.
Oh, that's great.
Because sometimes their rates were 29%, and we got it to 9%. So it can make a real significant difference. And believe it or not, we're actually starting to wrap up the show. So I want to just make sure that you talk a little bit about these debt management plans and what the impact is that it'll have on people and who should be considering it. Thanks.
Well, anyone with debt should consider talking to a credit counseling agency. A credit counseling agency is going to tell you what options you have available to you, whether it be bankruptcy, whether it be calling your credit card companies on your own, what to say, similar to the value that you're adding with your clients, and whether a debt management plan would be an option for you. Now, to go on a debt management plan, you have to have income to pay back these debts. Your debts have to be able to be paid back within maybe 5 years or less. And what would happen is at CCCS, we have negotiated rates already in place with all of the national creditors. So you can walk into our agency for free, sit down with the certified credit counselor and say, these are the debts I have. Chase, Capital One, Bank of America, these are the credit card debts. What are the rates that you have, CCCS, with these lenders? So you can decide right then and there, hey, I can negotiate a better rate on my own, or these rates are better than I could do on my own. And in many cases, they are lower. So anyone that went on our debt management plan would be eligible for our rates with the creditors, and then you would pay one payment every month to our agency, just one payment, so all your credit cards lumped into one payment, and we would disperse it to your creditors. And there are fees. There's a setup fee that's usually around $100. And then there's an ongoing monthly fee that, that we charge to get the money from your bank account and disperse it, and it's per creditor. But I believe it's capped at about $40 a month. So the fees are extremely low.
So really, I mean, people hear fees and they get nervous, but really, they're pretty minimal fees. And if you think about the $30,000 you could be saving in interest on them, it could be worth considering.
Exactly.
And in terms of just briefly the piece of how it could affect your credit score, what you can do to have it not affect your credit score as much?
Right. People get really nervous about a debt management plan affecting their credit. And I really don't think that they should get nervous about something like this. The only time that it would come into play on your credit score is, or on your credit report, is it could be labeled on your credit report that you're paying your bills through a credit counseling agency. This information is not going through into your credit score. But what happens is when you start a plan, you could be late on your monthly payments to your credit card companies. So for instance, your payments are due on the 15th of the month with your credit card companies, and the debt management plan is not going to disperse them, say, till the 25th. So you'd have this 10 days late on your credit report, which affects your credit score. So if you wanted to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, you would make 2 payments to your credit card companies that month.
In that first month.
In that first month only. I mean, sometimes it's hard to get enough cash even to do that, but that's the way to offset affecting your credit score.
That piece of it. And then the only other thing I would imagine is that it could raise a bit of a red flag in terms of when you're contacting the credit card agency, they might just review your account or something like that a little bit more because they know that now a credit counseling service is paying for their bill.
Yes.
But the big picture is, how much are you really going to be now aggressively paying off that debt by going into this sort of plan, because we've seen what a huge impact interest makes on the whole picture.
Right.
And how long, I mean, who wants to have their debt for 50 years? You know, it's absurd, really. And so it's about really looking at what's going to be your plan to be paying it off. How can something like Consumer Credit Counseling Services help you to do that? And to recognize that you can go in and have that initial conversation without it costing you anything.
Nothing.
Without a ding to your credit score.
Absolutely.
It's a conversation that can then be a very profitable one.
And an option. You know, people just need to explore all options, and this is one of them.
Totally agree. Well, wow. Thank you so much, Amy.
We could just keep going.
I know. I have a whole CD set I'm developing on credit. Now I'm recognizing why. Like, there's so many ins and outs that are so important for people to realize. And our show today, Surviving the Credit Crunch, so informative for people, and I so appreciate you being on today. Today we provided you insights into surviving the credit crunch. Stay tuned for more strategies, tips, and tools on thriving in this economy, including more saving strategies, managing your debt and credit cards, buying a home, and planning for your retirement. You will learn tips that you can use immediately. A special thank you as well to Bonnie Automotive in Ball Square in Somerville and Al Fresco Restaurant in Davis Square, Somerville for sponsoring our show today. If you'd like to share your ideas, questions, and money saving tips, please email us at moneytv@ownyourmoney.com. If you'd like to share your ideas, questions, and money saving tips, email us at moneytv@ownyourmoney.com. Thank you for joining us today. I am Belinda Fuchs, CPA, wealth coach, and president of OwnYourMoney.com and host of Money on Your Mind. We look forward to bringing you more unique and interesting ways of making more, saving more, and stressing less about the money on your mind.
My car is parked outside, I'm afraid it doesn't work. I'm looking for a partner, someone who gets things fixed. Ask yourself this question, do you want to